Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Captain Logan Show. Tis I, Captain Logan, and joining me as always is my wonderful chat moderator and producer, DJ Martinez. Hello, DJ. What's up, man?
Hello, sir. Good evening.
Good evening indeed. DJ, we are 2 weeks away from the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League. How stoked are you, sir? Well, 2.5, I guess. The 18th. It's almost upon us.
Oh, man. I'm jacked up. So excited.
I'm also jacked up after a month of inundating myself in Zack Snyder and the DCEU. I am weirdly ready for that. I guess I'm ready to get into it and then have it behind us. I've forgotten what it's like talking about things that are coherent and make sense, and not finding it impossible not to just nitpick every 3 seconds of a thing.
It really is a mini spawn year. It's degenerating.
That is exactly what it feels like. Yeah. It's been a very strange experience, I must say. This Friday night is going to be the last part, finally, of the giant epic book-length BVS Rewind. It's going to air at 7 o'clock Central Time. I'm actually not quite finished editing it, so Patreon folks, sorry I haven't gotten that up for you yet. Usually it's more early than it will be, but I should have that up for you by late tonight or early tomorrow. If you want to get to watch that early, you can become a patron at patreon.com/geekvolution, and just the bottom $2 tier gets you access to that. You get some early rewinds with that, and thanks a lot to everybody who is currently subscribed on Patreon. You guys are great. But yeah, so I'm going to do the premiere on Friday night like I have been doing with all of these. It was originally supposed to be in 3 parts. It is now going into a 4th part, and that 4th part is probably going to be the longest. Hopefully it is more coherent than the film. Anyway, welcome everybody. Thanks a bunch for joining us. Thanks for watching after the fact. If you're doing that, you might notice tonight that we've got a new thing on the screen. Comment of the stream. That is from last stream. John Kelling had my favorite question from last time, so we made that comment of the stream. And every show, if hopefully we can remember to do that, we're going to pick a comment of the stream and let you see that the entire next show. So that's your prize for winning comment of the stream. Get your name and your comment there the whole show. Tonight we're going to talk a little bit about our lead-in. Our topic is going to be about the new potential Ta-Nehisi Coates Superman film. He has been tapped to write one, and of course, I say a potential film because people get tapped for writing movies all the time that sometimes don't end up working out. So, I mean, he could turn in a script and Warner's could decide they don't like it, like happened with Joss Whedon's Wonder Woman script way back in, I think, 2007. And so this may not be a thing that ever comes to fruition, but if the script is good enough for Warner Brothers and DJ, what wouldn't be at this point? I would assume that is probably going to end up happening. So we're going to talk about that tonight. We're going to speculate a little bit about what his Superman might look like, whether or not he's likely to do a race switch with that. I think it's inevitable that that's probably what's going to happen, but we'll talk about that and what that movie could look like. And we'll also talk about whatever you guys want to talk about during the stream. Yeah, sorry that I am a little bit scatterbrained right now. I keep getting weird error messages and stuff, so hopefully everybody can see this, and you guys aren't having any difficulty with the stream. Things have been a little bit clunky and slow on my end, so hopefully this ends up working out all right. If you want to make sure that your question or topic is discussed on air, as always, you can leave a super chat in any dollar amount, and we really appreciate anybody who does that. That really helps us keep things chugging along here at the Geekvolution train, and we are 85-90% funded by the audience these days, so that really helps a great deal. Thanks to everybody who does that. Thanks a lot, again, to the patrons as well. But don't feel like you have to do that. Of course, we appreciate you just being here, and it's awesome if you just showing up and hanging out with us. And if you have a question and you don't want to do that, leave it in the comments. We will tackle as many pre-written things as humanly possible. So, DJ, I just can't get away from the DCEU. It's all I get to talk about now.
That's it.
Old
DCEU month.
It feels like it's DCEU like a couple, 3 months. Like we're already we're about to be in a 5th week of this. I have to do Justice League for next week now. And,
That's
weird
true.
way, that's because that's so much of a simpler film. It's going to be kind of a breath of fresh air, but it's weird going right into that. There was supposed to be a week in between where I was going to get to do something else, and then BBS turned into 4 parts. So
Yeah. No, you're in the thick of it, man. It's thick in the Snyderverse.
it is. Assuming that not too much gets cut out. Again, I'm not quite finished with it, but at the moment, it is 56,000 words. It is novel length. Short novel, but longer than novella length at this point.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, whoosh, man. There you go. Did you think that would be your third novel?
No, 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 I didn't. And of course, it's not prose, so it's more like a dissertation or something, or just a
Yeah.
really long rant. My favorite thing is the comments I've gotten for folks where they're like, "Next time you do a big rant like this, could you make this movie?" And I like that people are looking at it as just a big giant rant. Like, to me, it's still story analysis, but it is very ranty because there's a lot more to complain about than to full on analyze. Like a piece I can take seriously. So yeah, my mind is gone. It doesn't work anymore, and so we're gonna go ahead and answer some questions because that makes a lot of sense. While my mind is broken.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Jedi
Well,
Knight last week was MCU though, so Cap got a break at least. Oh, that's true. I guess for topics on the show, but I just think it's really funny that our lead-in topic tonight has to be more DCEU stuff. Speaking of DCEU, the first thing I wanted to mention about the Ta-Nehisi Coates thing, if you're not familiar with him, he is a Marvel writer. That is, I don't think even still his day job. He is a journalist, and I don't know if he's a journalist or if he's just like an analyst, but he writes a lot of like opinion pieces in magazines and newspapers and stuff. I think he had a staff job somewhere. I can't remember. It's been so long since I've looked into him. But he started writing Black Panther for Marvel several years ago. He's done some Captain America for them as well. I don't know what else he's worked on. And I've only read, full disclosure, a few issues of that Black Panther run. And I thought it was a little dull. I thought it was a little boring. And I ended up dropping off of it. I thought it was really well written. I thought the guy had great writing chops. But I was a little bit bored with it. And it's funny because I do remember in the letters pages that he started in his first issue, he got to the end, and of course, on a first issue, you don't have letters pages. You don't actually have letters yet. So usually, a writer will just establish a letters page and be like, "This is where the letters are going to go. You should send me letters." And in that note, he was like, "Don't worry, I like punching in comics too, and there will be punching in this book." By the time I left it, there still wasn't punching. And I'm not saying that's the reason I left. I'm just saying it was a little slow going. So I've heard great things about that. I don't know if that got amazing, but I thought the setup was interesting. But I was ultimately kind of bored with it. I thought it was a little wordy. It was a little overwritten. But anyway, but if you're yeah, if you're not familiar with Ta-Nehisi Coates, that's who that is. It's kind of interesting that he's only worked for Marvel so far, and the first thing he's been tapped to do outside of that medium is a DC movie. But yeah, so I thought it was interesting. I said DCEU a minute ago that when he commented on his being picked for this, he said he was excited to work in the DCEU, and I don't want to ever overread things because just because a writer or an actor or a director or somebody uses a certain piece of terminology, it doesn't mean that they're using it the same way we are, or that they even know what they're talking about necessarily. But if he knows what he's being brought in to do, and it is indeed in the DCEU, that could give us some clues as to what this may or may not be. A lot of especially like geeky news outlets are jumping the gun and assuming that this is not going to be a Clark Kent Superman. That not only will we probably get a gender switch, but it won't be a like black version of Clark Kent. It will be one of the other Supermans that we've had in comics who is a black person. And let me say, by the way, that the reason everybody's assuming that, and I think that there's rumors of like inside sources saying that they're looking for a black actor right now. All the main news outlets said that they've not cast anybody yet. They don't know who they're going after at the moment, and it could be a situation where they don't even know for sure how they want to go with the race, and they'll see lots of different actors. Of course, that happens. But the reason that I think a lot of people were jumping to that is there's been rumors for a long time that they've been after Michael B. Jordan anyway, and that is the rumor right now that is still who they're after, if they do have anybody in particular in mind. But also, Ta-Nehisi Coates has really only in fiction written about race issues. That's where the guy lives. That's what the guy likes to write about, and he can be a somewhat controversial figure, certainly. Some people think that he's too heavy-handed and preachy. What little I've read of him, I didn't have that, but I wouldn't call him pandery with what I read so much as I would call him just passionate. That's what he's interested in. That's what he likes to write about. As I always say, I don't have a problem with like racially charged or politically charged fiction as long as it's not like telling me what I'm supposed to think. As long as it's not excluding me because I may or may not have the same feelings that it does about the thing. If it comes in and makes an interesting case and wants to use the comic book page to talk about things that are happening currently in the society, that is different than straight up agenda driven. And we won't all necessarily be able to agree on whether or not that's what this guy or any other writer is doing sometimes, of course. But I just wanted to get in front of that real quick because I know some people are not excited about this choice because they assume that we're going to get a really preachy, like racially charged Superman movie. I think if Coates is writing and if he's not rewritten too much, because you never know, this could end up at the end of the day not looking anything like a Ta-Nehisi Coates script, especially at Warner's, because they mess with stuff, or at least in the past they have quite a bit. And you know, we've also got, of course, J.J. Abrams producing, and that is making people nervous as well, because he's not had the best track record, obviously, in the last decade or more with genre stuff, with at least directing things. He kind of ruined Star Trek and Star Wars for a lot of people, myself included, especially on the Star Trek side, and so I'm not excited about his involvement if he's creatively involved too much. He could prove to be a better producer, though, than he is a director. So I want to be cautiously optimistic with that whole thing. As soon as it's reported that he's directing, I'm out. I'm not interested in that at all. I say I'm out. Obviously, I'll see it, but I will not be optimistic if that ends up happening. I also don't see those two people working together. That would be very strange. Abrams and Coates, I don't even see that.
Well, he can't direct a new take on anything. He could only direct rehashes, so that wouldn't work at all.
Yeah, so that would be strange. I don't see that. I think it would be really weird if you got Coates in there and then all of a sudden you brought in a bunch of other ghost writers or other writers to rewrite and rework him. I would think you would have a very particular vision if you were bringing in Coates. But and that's why I went ahead and mentioned Abrams then, because I could see him coming in and being like, well, we need to make this a lot more mainstream and generic. Because that's kind of what he tends to do to things. Let's throw in as many references to old Superman things as humanly possible. I would think that, by the way, a J.J. Abrams-directed Superman would basically be Superman Returns again. It would just be exactly what Singer did with it. Yeah. Unless he had a bunch of nostalgia for something else. You know, unless he came in and just made Man of Steel again. But I don't think he would do that.
He makes Superman 4 again or something. That's his Superman.
The Quest for War. But anyway, so I don't think that we can assume anything about what exactly his Superman's going to look like. But like I said, as soon as he was mentioned, I couldn't help but go, okay, well, he's going to want to write a black Superman. He always writes racially charged stuff. However, Dan reminded me, and I've not read this and I'd forgotten about this, that he did that Captain America run. And it was also very much about racial issues, but he was writing about a white Captain America, which means I guess it's possible that he could be doing a very traditional Superman, but it's a Superman that is dealing with race issues, which could be really interesting. If we had a traditional Clark Kent Superman who is having to deal with the inner city and stuff, those kinds of issues, it could be really interesting. I think it's a lot more likely that they really are after Michael B. Jordan. I think that probably comes first in this chicken and the egg scenario. I think it's a lot more likely that they, this whole time, have been looking at Jordan and just waiting for his schedule to clear and being able to use him. And then now they've not announced that they've cast him, which means they haven't necessarily cast him first and then went for Coates. But I'm just saying, that may be the direction they're wanting to go. And if they don't get Jordan, maybe they get somebody else, but they might be thinking, we definitely want a black Superman, whatever it is we're doing. So there's a lot of outlets that are just assuming that it won't be Clark Kent because we have other extra canonical black characters who have been Superman. There's Val Zod, and I'm not real familiar with this character, but he is a Earth 2 black Superman who also comes from Krypton and is raised by different kind of parents. And I don't really know a lot about him, but some people are thinking that might be what they're doing, or they might do the President Superman of Earth 23. And if we went with, which was a New 52 creation and was part of Grant Morrison's Multiversity, if they did a pre-established like comic book, like Elseworlds Black Superman, I would love the President Superman of Earth 23. He was a really fun character. I think there's all kinds of cool things you could do with that. It would be well off the beaten path. It would be a totally different kind of story that we've ever done before. You could deal with all of those like power versus altruism issues that you have in BVS, but actually deal with them in a mature way, in a more sophisticated way. And, if you had a Superman who was president, who had that kind of political power at the same time as he's, got his Kryptonian powers, that could be really interesting. So if they go that way, that's kind of what I'm hoping they end up doing. I don't know what DCEU means anymore, DJ. I really don't. Partly because we've gotten so far away from what Snyder was doing, and up until we're releasing the Snyder Cut, which Warner's does not, and from Snyder's own mouth, Warner's does not seem interested in making more of Snyder's stuff, but I still say anything is possible, depending on how well that does. They're saying that now. I think if they got the numbers, they could find themselves just all of a sudden making more of that, but I think it'd be more likely to put that on HBO Max. I still say we could end up with two different DC universes on film at the same time, but lately they've been just making movies, and if they're from characters that were originally in the DCEU, they just kind of go their own way with them and don't care as much about the continuity. So in that way, I don't know what the DCEU is, but we still don't know if there might be an attempt at another Cavill movie. I don't think, knowing about this Coates script, we can immediately say that means that they'll never bring Cavill back, because, again, DCEU could mean anything. We're going to do a multiverse. And once you have that, all bets are off with what you consider canonical, right? The DCEU could now just mean anything that is connected to that multiverse when we start opening that up with Flashpoint. It's also possible that when we, I think anything is possible right now. It's also possible that we do a more literal Flashpoint than anybody might even be thinking. And when we get to the end of that movie, it's not just a crisis thing where we merge a lot of things that pre-exist already, but we actually have full-on massive physical changes to things in the universe. So we could say all of a sudden Superman is a black guy in that universe. It could not just be a multiversal thing where we pull him from another world, but in fact, we don't have Cavill Superman anymore at all, and instead he has changed to this other Clark Kent who is now a black man. That is possible. That's what New 52 after Flashpoint did with a couple of different characters, including Wally West. The Wests have been a black family since then, and that's why they are in the TV show as well. So, yeah, all bets are off. Anything is possible. But we also could see him and Cavill both existing in the same universe or the same multiverse. This could be it could be set in the same universe and still be a different Black Superman. He could be some other person who came from Krypton, or maybe he comes from some other planet, but he gets the name Superman for some reason. I think absolutely anything is on the table with this whole thing, and it's all really interesting. I kind of have to hear more about it, what they're actually doing, before I can comment too much on how I feel about the whole thing. I wish I had read more Coates at this point, because I can't speak too much to his track record at the moment, but I didn't hate what I read of him. So anyway, those are my initial thoughts. DJ, do you have anything to add before we start taking some questions?
Not really. You covered it pretty well. I would just hope. I think my hope. I don't know if I would want Michael B. Jordan. I would want a total unknown. I always want that. I didn't know who Henry Cavill was before I saw Man of Steel, and that worked really well for me. So that's what I would like. We got some super chats about this topic.
That's
though,
a really good point. Now, if it's not Clark Kent and it's a more, if they do the big high profile like President Superman, I think Jordan is a great choice. Like if they do that kind of thing, I'm much more okay with a not no name. But I'm with you. I always want Superman to be an unrecognizable actor.
Yeah, and then there's thousands of actors. I mean, you just pick one. Superman doesn't need a big name to sell him. He's Superman.
Let me tell you, in a perfect world, what I would love to see for a President Superman story, I think it would be so cool to do, and this would never happen. This is Cap's crazy pipe dreams. I would love to see a story, DJ, where what is his name? Calvin something? The President Superman from Earth 23. I would love to see a story where he's where like it's kind of an origin story, not for him being Superman, but for him being president, and he's running against Lex Luthor, and the whole movie is like a political drama, and it's Lex Luthor versus this Calvin guy who is that world Superman with Superman powers, going against each other for president. I think that would be the coolest thing.
And it's what's the writer that writes all the
Aaron Sorkin?
The writer that write? Yeah.
Yes, that's the Sorkin pitch. Exactly. Yeah, because I was talking about The Social Network the other day, and I was talking about the things that would be cool to see Sorkin do in superhero stuff if he ever did that. Later, people told me that he's like really apparently kind of, people called him pretentious and said that he doesn't like those kinds of lowbrow things. So maybe he would never do a superhero movie, but
yeah, that makes sense. But we got some super chats about this topic, so I am going to skip ahead, guys, but I do have them all written down, so don't worry, I will get back to them. John Ty, with the Flashpoint movie, setting up the multiverse angle, having a black Superman like Val Zod or Calvin Ellis movie makes sense in that context.
I think so, too. Somebody a minute ago said that the director said they're not doing the Flashpoint story, but with everything we know about that movie, it has to be Flashpoint to some degree. Or maybe not. I mean, I guess it could just be a multiversal thing where it's not strictly Flashpoint in the sense that it doesn't change anything really about the universe, but then I don't know why we're doing multidimensional. Is it just an assumption we've all been making that the end of that the point of that movie is soft reboot? I guess I'm not totally sure about that.
Yeah, Warner is great at being super vague about everything, so who knows? And they're famous for changing their minds, so we have no way of knowing. But thanks for the super chat, John Ty. And then Super Billy gives us $5. I just want one fun, lighthearted, and optimistic non-CGI chin solo Superman movie starring Henry Cavill before we move on to someone else.
I'm glad you said that. I had the same thought. Yeah. If this, and this will disappoint people, and I'll be right there with you, but if this is a replacement thing where we change the universe and we race swap after that, and this is our Superman moving forward, like, that's not necessarily what I want, but if it's like actually anything closer to traditional Superman and it's inspiring and stuff, I'm more okay with that. But if this ends up being a secondary Superman, like we were talking about, Calvin Ellis, thanks guys, the President Superman, if they do something like that, and you still have Cavill around, or that character around, yeah, I'm gonna cry foul that you didn't make a Man of Steel 2. That would be unfortunate.
Yeah,
I'm glad you said
it's crazy how similar the situation is to what their Batman is going through.
Mm-hmm. But what's curious about that is, and maybe it's just because it's being, because it seems like the era has changed every 2 years with this. That was being made. The Batman started, its pre-production as they were pretty clearly, steering farther and farther away from thinking too much about DCEU. They're just making movies. And you'd think if we're going to cast somebody else and it's not Cavill, we do the same thing where it's just, and maybe that's what they're doing, but where we're just making, a Superman set in a different universe. We're not even worried about how it's going to cross over with anything else. But him saying DCEU, if that means anything, gives me pause a little bit. This may not be the Batman situation. It should be. That's what it should be.
Yeah. Roger Lee gives us $10 super chat. He says, this far-left extremist Ta-Nehisi Coates makes everything a race issue. is 100% anti-America. He wrote a self-loathing Captain America questioning his white privilege.
Yeah, and I have heard that, and I would have to sit down and read it before I could make a judgment call myself. I just don't know. I'm like I don't want to comment too much on that without having read a lot myself. Like I said, what little I have read from him did not seem like ultra preachy and anti any other races. It seemed like that's just the subject he was really passionate about and wanted to write about. I will say he does seem more extreme than some others in his views from the couple of interviews I've listened to from him. Like if we're talking about the man and not the writing, he's for like Civil War reparations and things like that, which a lot of people consider a pretty extreme view. I don't want to comment on all of that. I don't want to get into the politics of that. That's not what I do here, and I don't personally have a dog in that fight. I would have to do more research before I could decide how exactly I feel about some of the issues that are very near and dear to his heart. But if I read that run and I felt the same way you did, it would certainly give me pause in seeing him write a Superman thing.
And then the last one I saw specifically about the topic was from Super Billy, $5. I can't wait for what is essentially a remake of Superman 78 that admonishes Clark for his white privilege despite being an alien.
That sounds pretty facetious.
Yeah.
I'm going to assume that was a facetious comment. Yeah. So a lot of people clearly not happy about this. I just, for me, the verdict is going to be out until we see what exactly he's doing with it. And like I said, I think for people that don't like Coates and really, aren't glad this is happening, just remember there's every possibility that it falls through. Just because this was announced doesn't mean it's getting made yet. Like, he's not turning the script yet. So, I mean, it's possible this does not get made. It also sounds like a thing they're probably going to fast track. So unless he writes something that they really, really hate, it probably will happen. I'm just saying, there's an outside chance that it doesn't get made.
Christian Ogden, $5. I just want Superman to fight someone other than Lex or Zod one time. 7 movies, still hasn't happened. How hard is it to give us Brainiac already?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm trying to be open-minded about this whole thing. Looking at this in a vacuum, I think that there's some potential interesting things that could happen depending on what Coates might want to write about. However, I'm with you. I would much prefer, before we do that kind of thing, let's stop doing Elseworlds things before we do the traditional versions. We don't have a definitive Superman right now, obviously on film. We have something closer to that on TV, which is somewhat ironic, because the pilot for Superman and Lois I thought was wonderful, and it's gotten better on every time I've seen it. So at least I've got that somewhere now. I hope that show stays good. But I also, sorry for jumping around. Also, I think it's interesting, DJ, that news came out the same week that pilot dropped. Like, I don't know if that's coincidence or if it's just, Superman's in the news right now, so now's the time to mention it. I'm not sure why that happened, but I just thought it was really interesting the same week that pilot drops. And it apparently, I haven't looked at ratings or anything, and apparently was pretty heavily watched, and they've already greenlit it for a second season. And I don't know if that was probably already the plan, because the CW does not take long to renew things. Like, their standards for how big their ratings have to be are very low. So that might have happened no matter how many people were watching it. But, because I don't know how Batwoman got a second season, but it did. So that may not have anything to do with anything. But I do think it's really interesting that news comes out the same week that drops.
Super Billy?
But yeah, but real quick, just go back to what he was saying, and close out that my thought with that. Yeah, we need to get back to basics, and it's ridiculous that we've not done that before. We're talking about going, to a bunch of other places.
Yeah, Super Billy agrees. He says, $5 super chat. There's enough room for multiple Supermen. We can have both Cavill and Jordan at the same time, whether or not the latter is also Clark Kent / Kal-El.
Sorry, where was that? Was that also in the Super Chats?
Yeah, but it's towards the bottom. I'm just asking the ones about Superman right now. He's just basically saying that
That's good. Just
even
read
if
it again for me, would you?
yeah, even if they're both playing Clark Kent, he thinks there's enough room for both of them to play it.
Oh,
There's enough
interesting.
room for multiple Superman. Yeah.
Yeah, if they make them in different universes, I think that there's every possibility that if it is Clark Kent, that's not what they're doing. But maybe because I mean we are bringing back at least it sounds like with Flashpoint at least one more time Ben Affleck. So
Yeah. And then we got one from John Jones, $5 super chat. Oh, great. They get a guy who hates America to write about truth, justice, and the American way. I'll pass.
wow, interesting.
It's a hard pass from John Jones.
We are hearing a lot of similar opinions on Coates right now. Yeah, that surprises me. I didn't like. I knew he was a little controversial. I didn't know that there was this kind of backlash. That's really interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about that. Because I'm not going to comment on the whole hating America thing and all of that. I've not. Like I said, when he first got Black Panther, I listened to a couple of interviews from him, and I did not make that that assumption listening to that. But so yeah, I don't want to talk about things that I'm ignorant on.
Yeah, and I'm not familiar either. But that is all I see about the Superman topic. Let me know when you're ready to go to other things.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go ahead and do that. We're about half an hour in. Folks, feel free to ask questions about anything you want to now. Does not have to be Superman related or DCEU related. Might be fun to get out of that for a little bit, right before I have to go edit the fourth part of BVS and get right back in that headspace again.
Yeah, well, we've got some about BVS.
Oh, no problem. Go ahead.
Justice League, so don't worry. But anyway, first one I saw was from Game Station 3. If you had to choose between either watching X-Men Apocalypse or Dark Phoenix again, which would it be and why? Well, you got the two guys, the best people to answer this right here, because we got to watch both.
We sure do. We'll be able to answer that much better after we've done. No, not both, because I've done Apocalypse already.
Oh, that's right. Well, for me, it's got to be Dark Phoenix, because I've never seen Dark Phoenix, and I hated Apocalypse.
In fact, I have another commentary on Apocalypse coming out in the not-too-distant future that I've recorded already based on that last rewind. Yeah, every so often I'm going to do that, where I'll do a deep dive in a commentary on something that I just recently did a rewind on. So, it's off the top of my head, yeah, that was, I think, the last movie, but no, the second to last movie in the first round of Marvel Mania. DJ, because that was going to be last, and it's really nice that it wasn't because it sucks. But we actually ended that with Doctor Strange because Marvel Mania went long enough that movie had come out on video by the time that we started doing that show, or that we were finishing that show. Anyway, off the top of my head, I'm going to say it's probably Dark Phoenix, but I have only seen that movie once. I didn't even go a second time in the theater. So that's just going off memory, and I just recently lived with Apocalypse for a while, so I know that movie very well, and I used to be indifferent toward it, and now I kind of loathe it. I think it's awful. I'm having a hard time even still deciding if it or X3 is the worst film, and I'm leaning toward it at this point. I actually think X3 is more watchable than Apocalypse, which is very weird, and I didn't have that until I wrote about it. That exercise changes my opinion on things. It absolutely does. But yeah, I mean, Dark Phoenix was, from my recollection, just kind of a nothing movie, and Apocalypse kind of felt that way too. But I doubt if going back to that movie, it will, offend me in some of the same, just like dull, uninspired, obligatory writing ways that Apocalypse did.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. This is from Thanos Survivor number 21. When can a love triangle work within a story?
When it's not horribly gimmicky and it's not just there for the sake of easy drama. It needs to be really character driven. It can't just be characters like all of a sudden are. You need people to not be whiny and to be somewhat reasonable, unless it was already in their character to be horribly unreasonable and whiny, and then they have to have consequences to those actions, and if they're supposed to be kind of awful and unlikable, they have to be sympathetic in the sense that I understand how they got that way, and then it has to serve the story in some interesting way that I have to put up with whiny, irritating characters. By and large, usually I don't want my protagonist to be that way. If there's an antagonist that's in that love triangle, triangle, an antagonist in some way, right, then that can make sense. If it's a character that I'm supposed to hate, okay. But far too often, especially on television, and especially in like teen dramas and things like that, we get love triangles where everybody is just intolerable, and they're all still played as the like kind of heroes of the story. You can't act like your characters being heroic and they're insufferable jerk faces who are entitled and only about themselves and are like backstabbing and either like insanely mopey or insanely backstabbing. So yeah, well, love triangles can work. It's one of the hardest things to pull off without throwing somebody under the bus. Certainly, but very often it's also just an easy situation. It's like it's just an easy thing to fall back on, and they tend to be better when it's like the main focus of a story that like that's what the story was about in the first place. And you know, you can maybe win me over on that. So like you can do a movie where like that's that's the conflict. Okay, I mean that's just a situation. When it drives me crazy the most is when we fall back on it 115 times in the same TV show, where like we just can't stop doing it. Some shows like Smallville will have a love triangle a season, like an ongoing one, like through most of the season. It's like you got your big bad and you got your love triangle. I hate that. It drives me crazy. It shouldn't be tropish. You don't want to get me on love triangles.
Oh, I think we do. I think we want to bring back rants. It's like they're baiting you with these questions.
Yeah, I keep going, we should do more rants more often, and then it's like, no, the questions just get us there.
No, you just did a 4-part, 56,000 word rant, so you should be ranted out for a while.
I just don't want to talk anymore.
Logan Dodd 499 interested in Netflix's Jupiter's Legacy.
Ooh, hold on, real quick. I got to read this comment because it's really good. Sure. It's really good. Clark Kent. I don't want to get off that topic yet. Clark Kent's rock and roll review. The trick is for the writer to love people. That's wonderful. All right, go ahead.
That's good. Logan Dodd 499 interested in Netflix's Jupiter's Legacy and the Millarverse. Interested in the Halo series going to Paramount Plus.
Those are things I just don't know enough about. I'm not immediately invested in, so if people say good things about that, I'll try it out. The Halo thing I have no interest in. I've never played those games. I don't know anything about that mythology or that universe. It does not immediately appeal to me. Again, if people say good things about it, I might try it out. There's 101,000 things I've not looked at yet that people have told me I should, and man, I've gotten like 6 billion comments about Dark on Netflix, and I keep forgetting to watch that. There's so many things that I need to go to, and it seems like by the time I finally think to sit down and watch a thing, in my mind it's new, but it's actually been canceled for 3 years. Like that keeps happening.
5590 ERS. Better Cartoon Network show in your opinion? Dexter's Lab or Powerpuff Girls?
Definitely Powerpuff Girls. I think it stays better longer. Dexter has this weird switch in the last couple seasons where it gets, I don't know if mean-spirited is the right word, but it just gets like kind of gross and not fun to watch. And Powerpuff Girls has its places where it does that, and both of those shows have places where they can go to kind of potty humor places, and they get a little I don't know, immature and raunchy, but Powerpuff Girls, I think, has more episodes overall that I like than Dexter, and I think it's less redundant than that show. It just starts with a premise where it's easier to tell more different kinds of stories. So yeah, and I also like, I don't know, both formats are fun. I kind of wish Dexter had more of an ongoing continuity. I don't mean that it needed to be really arcy or tell one story all the way through, but Dexter would have, was kind of like traditional one-and-done cartoons where you'd get to the end of an episode and it would break the universe, like intentionally. Like you'd get to the end of an episode and Dexter is transformed into like a bird or something. It's like, how he's gonna get out of that? Doesn't matter. Next episode he won't be like that. Or his, like, I don't know how many times his parents find out about his laboratory, but it's several times. And then next episode, they don't know that anymore, because none of it is canonical. So you'll have characters that are established and then will keep coming back, and sometimes we'll use the same backstories, but like by and large that show doesn't really have like a continuity, and Powerpuff Girls more or less did. So that appeals to me more, but that was also always kind of a fun gag, too.
OAW Entertainment just said, so should we tell Cap that Dark has been canceled?
See, I knew somebody was going to... I knew it was canceled. I just knew it. It always happens.
All right. Let's see.
I still might try it out.
Speaking of Dark Moonlight Entertainment gives us $5 to say, Snyder confirmed that Justice League will end on a cliffhanger. I feel like this will start a new fan movement. # release the Snyder trilogy.
Yeah, and maybe this is a horrible thing to say. I also feel like some of the Snyder Cut folks really like having a fan-driven cause, and they're gonna like that. They're like I think some of those people are probably like, if they haven't thought about it already, they're gonna be really sad when the Snyder Cut actually comes out and they don't have anything to rally around anymore, because like they've just been celebrating for the last several months now. So like it's, yeah, I'm always reminded of the Surge movement, where it's like when all those people came together to bring back Surge from Coca-Cola, and then it happened. It's like they didn't really have any cause anymore. I don't know that they were off looking for another soda to try to resurrect, but I do think that some of the Release the Snyder Cut folks, you felt like there was this horrible injustice that was... With Surge, it was just those people wanted to drink Surge, right? But they were tired of buying like flat, 24 packs from 20 years ago. But with the Snyder Cut guys, I think it was more that they thought they had a right to help right a wrong, and that the right version of that movie didn't come out, and Snyder was shafted and thrown under the bus, and they really liked what he did before and thought that it was unfair that their franchise was derailed. And I don't sympathize with that. I don't understand that, because I think BVS is a massive, insane train wreck, and I can't remember how stories are supposed to be told anymore, because I've been dealing with that for a full month now. But I think that those folks might deep down somewhere be glad that it ends on a cliffhanger, because now they'll have something to try to fight for with Snyder again. I think you're absolutely right. I think there's going to be a hashtag. I think that'll happen. And I also think that there's every possibility that HBO Max lets him continue that as a as TV things, as streaming things.
That's just like their DC streaming universe, the DCSU. Okay, this one's cool. We got a $5 super chat from Status Decline. He says, my first super chat, just testing how it works.
Yeah,
thank you, Geek Evolution, for the years of quality entertainment and interesting reviews.
Oh, thanks, man. I really appreciate it. Well, thanks for the super chat. And thanks for coming out of the woodwork and making yourself known.
Yeah, hope you still are enjoying what's happening, because Gav's been doing a ton of reviews lately.
Yeah, appreciate you, man.
Game Station 3 put that one in again about Dark Phoenix and Apocalypse. I don't know if it went through twice or not, but either way, thanks for the
thanks a bunch.
Hopefully
I'm pretty sure we answered that. That was a pretty straightforward, cut and dry question. I'm pretty sure we answered that.
That was a would you rather, either or, this or that. And then he puts in another one, $5. I think you take the Jonathan Kent scene in BVS too literally. Please read my full comment in the BVS review, part 3. Okay.
Yeah, like, we're just going to have to agree to disagree on that, because I don't know what's happening in that scene, and neither does the director, so you can't take it too literally or too figuratively. Like, it is a cheap way to give a character an opportunity for change. Like, whatever is happening in that scene, it's like, I kind of don't care if it's supposed to be real or not. I don't care if he's a ghost. I don't care if it's in his head. He's walking around and he has a conversation with his dad that is extremely awkward, with a story that doesn't ultimately make a lot of sense. And that's the thing that makes him decide to go back and be Superman. It's really easy. There's a lot of more interesting ways that could have been handled. And again, whatever the internal logic is, and I think it's really funny that, like, Snyder doesn't know. Like, there is no internal logic. It's lazy enough that it doesn't care. It's just, we'll throw Jonathan Kent in there. It'd be cool to bring that actor back for a cameo, right? So they bring back Costner, and they have him have that one scene Logan so that he can, help push his son to go do the thing he needs to do. And it doesn't help that I already don't like that Jonathan Kent. I don't understand where he's coming from. They have to bring all that stuff back again. And then, like, that's just a trope in movies I'm really, really sick of. We need to quit doing that. People don't hallucinate conversations like that. And like if it's supposed to be a dramatization of something that's going on in his head, it's very confusing because he's reacting as if he's hearing a story he's hearing for the first time from his father, who like, so is it a story that really happened or didn't happen? Is like, I don't know. I don't think you can take that too literally. Like, I don't understand what's happening, like, at all.
Yeah, he just put in another.
See, I'm sorry, I just don't agree with you, man. Like,
he just put in another $2 super chat. He says it's like the Hamlet's father ghost thing.
Yeah, Shakespeare can get away with that in a way that Snyder can't in a movie that, well, and kind of so. And you know what though? And also that was a literal ghost though. I think, like, sure, and like I don't like the way Snyder tells stories because I don't think he's a storyteller, and I think he does things like that going, look how poetic it is, it's Shakespearean, and I just don't think it's appropriate for that material, and there's not a lot of other stuff like that. Like, I don't know. I don't even know if I can call that pretentious though. That's just an easy visualization to make a thing happen. I don't know, man. Like, I don't agree with you. I don't like it.
Yeah, I think you're just supposed to not think about it, honestly.
That's what I think, yeah, and I don't like that.
TH1, I can't wait for the WandaVision final on Friday.
I'm excited about it, too.
And then he says, pitch a Spider-Man Disney Plus show. Have you heard about Dr. Seuss? You're the best. Work safe channel on YouTube. I didn't think about us like that. We are a work safe channel.
What does work safe mean?
Just like not safe for work is just like what you call sites that aren't safe to open on your work computer.
Okay, so yeah, I've gotten that comment before, although I hadn't heard that term before, work safe, but where people are like, I'm real glad I can listen to you at work, and I'm like, I don't know, do you play YouTube videos without headphones? Like, I've just always wondered about that. He packed a bunch of stuff in that super chat.
I was just like, yeah.
I heard about the Dr. Seuss thing. He's referring to a controversy that happened with a particular Dr. Seuss book, I think, being recalled and not being allowed to print or something. I've not looked into. Oh, is it really? I've not looked into it. I don't know what exactly is going on there, so I don't have a comment at this time. I just recently heard that there was a controversy about Dr. Seuss. That's all I know.
Yeah, it's just like a yeah. We don't have to talk about it if you don't want to, but then he said, "Pitch." I mean,
if you want to mention more about it, you're welcome to. I don't mind talking about it. I just don't know enough.
I only know that it's racial stereotypes that he drew into his books.
That's right.
So
okay.
It's like If I Ran the Zoo, there's like some African characters that are wearing like grass skirts and look really stereotypical, and then to think I saw it on Mulberry Street, there's an Asian guy who has like chopsticks and slits for eyes, and it's like just really.
So are they just taking the pictures out, or are they just recalling the books and they'll never publish them again?
They are not printing them anymore. They're taking them out of publication.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. We can have an argument about whether or not those pictures should be removed. I don't immediately know what side of that I fall on. But my immediate instinct is to say, don't mess with history. Let those things exist the way they did. Let parents be parents and talk to their children about those things. I don't think racial stereotypes make children racist. I don't. That's not me saying it's okay to do them now. I'm just saying if a kid happens to see an old racial stereotype, I think it's very easy to say it was the 40s, it was the 30s. Like things have changed. I think it's important to teach kids where we came from and the ways in which we've made progress and the ways in which we have more to do. I think if you pretend like we have everything figured out and we always did, that's how we repeat bad history. That's how those things come right around again. So that strikes me as irresponsible, but that's just my immediate reaction, having zero time to consider it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think we should teach our kids how to read old books, so that they can recognize the problems and then not make those mistakes again.
I said I don't know which side of that I fall on. Yeah, I do. That's a slippery slope, buddy. When you start doing that kind of thing, I mean, recalling them and just pretending like they don't exist is the worst thing you can do. It's really bad we're doing that. That's a horrifying precedent to me. If we were doing even the thing I suggested, where you just take the pictures out, at what point do you start doing that with novels? At what point do you just start like gutting entire paragraphs and chapters and characters out of a book because it offends someone in some way? I think some people aren't going to agree with this. Some people aren't going to like that I'm saying this. I think people need to be challenged. I think people need to be offended. I think people will understand better how they personally feel about things and grow their own passions when they find out about things they don't like. That is not an excuse to do bad things. It's not. But it's a reason to let things exist the way they do and let people respond to them in their own way, I think. You're always going to have things that offend people. And I think if you spend all your time trying to avoid anybody ever being offended by anything, that creates way more problems than it solves, I think. I want to thank the 5 subscribers that just unsubscribed for joining us as long as you did.
No, everyone's being really supportive in the chat. I think they're all agreeing with you.
It'll be after the fact. It'll be folks watching later. I just got to call it like I see it, guys. You don't have to agree with me, but that's what I think, and I'm going to speak my mind.
Yeah,
What was the rest of that super chat? There was something else, but pitch a
Spider-Man Disney Plus, yeah.
Series, yeah. Wow, you're more of a Spider-Man guy than me. Why don't I put you on the spot? What would you want to see? Like immediately?
Clone Saga.
No, no.
I don't know. It's hard not to
start with Clone Saga.
It's weird, right? Because we'd have to use the Spider-Man we already have established, so we wouldn't do any of the early Ultimate stuff that you could use some of that stuff. It just wouldn't be an early Peter. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess I guess you could do the cool Sinister Six story that sets up that you got 13 episodes or however many they want to do.
That's a great idea.
You could set that up really cool. I think that'd be cool. And just kind of weave them in like Homecoming did, where you have all the villains, like the world is all built out, and you have the villains already there, and then you just bring them in, and I think that'd be cool.
That's a great idea. I don't immediately have a better idea than that. That sounds cool. Yeah, I don't immediately know what I would want. Probably something. Pardon me. Probably something set in college or with Peter already married.
Yeah, I mean, ideal pie in the sky if we don't have to deal with the Spider-Man that we have now. We could do like a Kraven's Last Hunt 10-episode series would be awesome.
Yeah, and that just seemed like I always go to that, so I was trying to avoid it, but that is in a perfect world what I would want. If we like finished the Spider-Man trilogy and then we gave Holland his own TV show, which won't happen probably, but if we did that, yeah, I guess I don't immediately know what you'd want. It might be, yeah, I mean, first of all, let him go to college and do a college series. But beyond that, like, who would the main big bad be? What would the setting be? If we hadn't, I just keep going back to Kingpin. Like, I want almost like if we hadn't already done the Daredevil thing, I would almost want like a more sober version of the '90s animated series, where like you got Kingpin in the background with machinations. He's kind of controlling everything, and you've got like Alex Smythe in the Spider Slayers. And yeah, is Fight would be good and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, just adapt several of the classic Spider-Man stories in a row. Like
yeah, I mean, you could do so much stuff with like college. Have him go to college, meet Gwen Stacy, and then do the Harry Osborn, Norman Osborn, Great Green Goblin arc. Just take 13 episodes, cool do all that stuff.
Yeah, wouldn't it be cool if like Gwen Stacy dies and then you do Spider-Man No More and he's not in the costume for like 3 full episodes? I mean, there's some really cool stuff you could do.
Yeah, a TV show would be so good for Spider-Man, and I would be totally fine with like toning down the action scenes just to get a good
I'm with Blue Dragon 5. He says maybe do the Black Suit saga given proper time to gestate, because we've never really gotten to properly handle that. People say it was done really well in Spectacular. I haven't seen that in so long. I don't remember. But in a live action show, you could do a whole season of that, and that could be really cool.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. Lots of good ideas. John Ty, thoughts on the new Supergirl casting in Flashpoint?
I don't know that actress, and I will just have to wait and see and watch the film. It does look like a situation where, I mean, I'm a broken record. We could end up with way too many characters in that movie that aren't juggled well. I was not expecting a Supergirl in that. Having said that, if it is a big multiverse thing like it looks like it's going to be, it kind of makes sense that we would introduce some more characters there. I don't know if that will be a Supergirl from here or if she comes from another universe. I mean, anything is possible right now. It would be really weird if they tacked on a bunch of, or I say a bunch of, it'd be weird, DJ, if they started tacking on things that they meant to eventually follow up on from Man of Steel that they just haven't gotten to because they didn't make a Man of Steel 2. Wouldn't that be weird? Because Supergirl was set up in that movie. I don't know if you remember that, but there's a pod that's missing, and it's supposed to be hers, and we were supposed to follow up and find her later. It'd be really weird if we did that in Flashpoint.
I think that was just them like, this is our Iron Man. We got to set up a bunch of stuff because this is going to be the big DC universe, and then I don't. Yeah.
No, that's exactly what that was, but it's. They wrote a comic about it. Like, that's definitely what that was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And they had every intention of eventually getting to it, I think. But it would just be weird if that's where that was.
Yeah. Got another one from Sal V. A lot of people come out of the woodwork to talk about this topic. Thanks for the super chat. Coates writing Superman equals selective truth, social justice, and the anti-American way.
Thanks for the super chat. Totally cool that you're stating your opinion. I'm not going to talk about this anymore because I just have nothing else to add about it.
Yeah. New topic. John Kelling. Thor Ragnarok. This is a good question. Thor Ragnarok satirizes the events of the Dark World as a stage play for a scene. What major comic book storyline would you like to see adapted as a play?
Interesting.
And I'm assuming a real play, not like a goofy
just
joke
throw it in
play
the
in
middle
Ragnarok
of a movie somewhere. Yeah. So I'm sorry. Was he suggesting just a superhero movie that would make a good stage play? Is that what we're talking about?
Just a major comic storyline.
Even just a comic storyline. Wow.
Death of Superman, the stage play.
Yeah. Again, I was trying not to go back to my normal but yeah, that'd be great. I'm thinking of hilarious, crazy things like the original Dark Horse Mask comics, where you just have a huge massacre on stage. What else?
Yeah, man. What was that? Mac, there's some Carnage story comic that I had as a kid that was just horrifying. With just like him breaking out of a insane asylum and just murdering every staff member in the whole place. Just do that.
Well, I mean, I think Maximum Carnage kind of opens that way. The creepiest, weirdest, I've talked about this before, Carnage story I ever read was a one-shot called Carnage, It's a Wonderful Life. It's the trippiest thing ever. You should read that. It's very strange. But yeah, what other really good comic stories could you do? I mean, it'd be fun to just go back to like a really basic, Batman detective story. Do like, I don't know, like a Laughing Fish or something.
But cool.
That's a really good idea, though.
Carnage Mind Bomb is what that was. The cover is awesome. It was like holographic. That's why I picked it as a kid. But he's just like sitting on a bunch of skulls.
Yes, I remember that. I've never read that.
Horrifying book.
Well,
people
are saying Batman Ego would be good because it's basically Batman Hamlet. I don't think I've ever read that, or if I have, it's been forever. Yeah, that's a cool super chat.
Did you know, by the way, that they're doing that again? In the next Thor movie?
They're doing what? Oh, really?
There's like pictures of Melissa McCarthy with the Hela helmet on and the costume, and her husband dressed up as Thor, and they're like, it looks like they're doing that
might just be the first one I don't go to, you guys.
It's gonna be so hard.
Somebody else can review. I'll hire someone else to review that.
Yeah, let's get someone else to do the mania on that. Any volunteers?
I'm not even just the
that
mania,
might be unmaniable.
All the videos.
Rohit Sahar, $5. Which superhero would you be interested to see be race-bended as some ethnicity other than white for social commentary or race relations in America?
Man, put me on the spot with that. Nothing immediate. I don't know. I haven't really had that thought a lot. I'm not necessarily against it on principle. It's just not a thing that I like get excited about. I don't think like, who can we like switch around and make a different race? I think it's more fun to do that with gender, actually, but not that I have a great answer immediately for that either. But does anybody leap to mind, DJ? I mean, we've already done it with some of the characters, if not race bended, just put people of other ethnicities in a costume of a character that has like a mantle, a legacy. So I mean, we've already got our Black Spider-Man, and that made a lot of sense because part of the idea of that character from Stan Lee at the beginning was, even though he was a white guy in the costume, because that's just Stan Lee writing what he knows, and what he did write black people later, it was hilarious. He liked that kids could imagine themselves behind that mask because it covered their whole face. So anybody, it's that into the Spider-Verse idea, anybody could be Spider-Man, or Spider-Man could be anybody. So we've already done it with some of the characters that I would have said we should do this with. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's more interesting to do it when there's like a story reason. Like, you want it to change the character in some way. You don't want to just flip it and then it doesn't mean anything. Then what's the point? But
yeah,
so yeah,
just for the sake of generic diversity, it's like, let's just make this person Asian, and now they're Asian, and it's like, if the point is it doesn't matter what race they are, then why do it? I don't know, like yeah, there should be some kind of story reason. When we, everybody freaked out when we did the female Thor thing, but there was a decent story reason for that ultimately, and it ended up being pretty good.
Yeah, and I'm fine if you just want to switch it just because you like the actor that's being cast. Like, that doesn't bother me. But like, if you're asking me to plan ahead and like who would I like to see switched, then it's only interesting if like you have a story idea.
Yeah, that's not a premise I would start with. I wouldn't be like, let's have a black Batman. Now, what's my story around that? That would probably be my answer, I guess, gun to my head.
I think it would kind of be interesting to do a Bruce Banner.
Okay.
Because I think having someone who is like just a drifter on the street and like traveling around homeless all the time would be much more interesting. Maybe not more interesting, but different if it was a black man, and I think there would be different challenges with that. So of course, I think that would be cool. Let's see. Nicholas Jones, $20 super chat. Good grief. Thanks, man. Lupita Nyong'o for Lois Lane. Black, gay, I don't care. Just please make a good DC film. Please, with 3 exclamation points.
I don't know who that is.
I know who that is, but I don't immediately remember who she's playing. I think she was in Jungle Book, but I think she's an Oscar-nominated actress. But yeah, I think the point of his comment is just he doesn't care. Just make good films. Please.
Yeah, exactly. Sure.
But thanks so much, Nicholas, for the awesome $20 super chat. You are awesome. Roger Lee, $5. It's a good old-fashioned Dr. Seuss book burning. Come on, everyone, grab some green eggs and ham and head over to the bonfire. Well, I don't think you would celebrate the green eggs and ham while you're burning the books.
This show has been something, you guys.
This is an interesting. Is this an After Dark? Is it? Oh no, it's only 9, and it's Tuesday.
Yeah, and it's Tuesday. Exactly.
But yeah, that is the last super chat I have, and I will go back to some pre-written.
Okay, great. Let's do a little bit of that, folks. As I stab myself with a pen. Ow.
Oh, here we go. This is completely... No one can get offended by this, unless Cap has a weird eye thing with this. Cinematographic, Cap and DJ, what is your favorite frame rate with watching movies? 24 FPS, 60 FPS, 90 FPS, or 120 FPS? Also, DJ, 16mm, 35mm, or digital in either making or watching movies? Wow, cinematographic getting very technical.
So I'm not a technical guy, full disclosure. That's not a thing I think about a whole lot. I only care when I notice it. So if a thing seems like it's in too slow of a frame rate and that takes me out and it's hard to look at or it's all I'm thinking about, then I'm going to start going, I wish this was in, 60 or whatever. Like in 30, it's too slow. I notice it more in video games than I notice it in movies and television, unless it's something that's like in a really, like faster frame rate DJ just because it can, where you're like, there's no reason for this to look like this. Why is this happening? That's the only time I tend to notice it. So I don't have like a favorite. I mean, I think you just do whichever serves the story best. The kind of thing that you're making. Do you have an answer to this?
No, I think they all have a purpose. I mean, I think obviously 120 FPS is better. You need to do that when you do slow motion, otherwise it gets all jittery. unless you want to do like a drug induced like effect on your footage, which would be interesting. But yeah, 24 FPS is best for film, because when you start getting to 60 FPS, it doesn't look it doesn't look like film to us, because we've been trained for so many decades that 24 FPS is the way to go, and then it starts looking like a news footage, or it starts looking like a reality show, and they look like they're just in costumes, and it doesn't look like a film. So that always bugs me when, like, I think some of the Hobbit movies had that, and they went back and fixed it in the 4K releases that he just did. So that's cool. We just got a John Jones back again for another $5 super chat. This Dr. Seuss thing is a modern book burning. History does not look back kindly on those people. So in agreement with Roger Lee there. And then John Kelling, $5 super chat.
I don't like when I'm hearing about that, but this is the first I'm hearing the details. Go ahead.
Yeah. And John Kelling, everyone's concerned over race changes and superhero stuff. I'm still irked we haven't gotten Barry Allen Flash with a bow tie and blonde hair.
Well, yeah, it's a little outdated. I don't know if you get that at this point. It's why Jimmy Olsen had to be a secret agent and murdered.
Yeah. That's why Peter Parker is into what? Does he have any hobbies? I don't know what he's into. Star Wars? Legos? he's not into journalism or computers like he was in Ultimate Spider-Man.
That's a good point, yeah.
He's not in anything. We'll see, I guess.
I guess I don't entirely know what his interests are, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go back to some pre-writtens. Thanks for the $5 super chat, John Kelling. Blue Dragon 5 Cap, if you took CW's Batwoman off the table completely, what would your checklist be for the ideal Batman in the CW verse that would coexist with the CW's Superman?
First of all, I think he has to come from another universe, and we could have brought him over and merged the universes at the end, merged his universe in with the main CW one at the end of Crisis. I think it is preposterous that Batman was operating at the same time as Arrow, given that at one time we treated it like Green Arrow was their Batman and Flash was their Superman, and it's just dumb in that universe to have a Batman and a Superman retroactively. So that would be the first thing I would do. He has to come from another universe. And then they went pretty traditional with their Superman, so I would just do the same thing with Batman. I would do a real classic street level urban legend kind of Batman, maybe one even that people don't know about yet. Beyond that, I don't know. Like complex details wise, but I would just make him like as close to like an animated series type Batman as possible. And just get back to basics, back to brass tacks, because that's what they did with Superman, and that's one of the few things they really nailed in that.
Jedi Knight. Oh, sorry. That was. Did you see that they were talking about us putting on a performance of Christmas Carol?
I saw something about that, or I saw something about Vince's Bob Marley. That's all, or Bob Marley, Jacob Marley, Bob Marley,
Vince Marley. Yes, that's perfect. No,
Reggae Knight... Vince
with gusto.
With gusto.
Yeah. Jedi Knight said, that's a really old reference, guys. Cap and his family are the Cratchits. Eric is Scrooge, Vince is Marley, and Todd McFarlane is the ghost of Christmas yet to come. And they were saying that I need to be the narrator for some reason. But yeah, that sounds fun. Maybe that'll happen.
Dark Moonlight says, I would give it a very irritating soundtrack because CW.
Daniel Davis, favorite hammy supervillain turn. He says he loves Treat Williams in The Phantom.
Yeah, sure. I just don't think you get better than Defoe.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
Out am I!
You can't do this to me. You know how much I sacrificed? We just quote that the whole
again and again and again until we're both dead.
Man. Rohith Duhar, since WB will seem to move on from Cavill Superman if Cavill is approached by Feige for an MCU role, what should it be and why? His personal pick is Hyperion/Sentry/Captain Britain.
Interesting, yeah. I don't need century in that universe at all. Personally, I don't love. I'm sorry for disagreeing. I don't love the idea of just taking Cavill over and making him a Marvel version of Superman. Sort of like, I can't get on board with that. It's too obvious, and it would be, I guess, a fun way if Marvel really wanted to turn the knife and be like, look, we can make Superman for a fourth time better than you guys can. But no, I don't know what I would do with him, honestly. Nothing leaps to mind where it's like, this is the guy at Marvel that he should play after all the characters that we've already adapted. I don't know. I think in a different world where we hadn't already done Ant-Man, he would have been an interesting pick for like a younger Hank Pym or something. But yeah, just of what we've got already, or what we haven't adapted yet, nothing leaps to mind.
He could be a cool.
Captain Britain's not a bad idea though. Yeah, that's fine, and they've talked about bringing him in, I think. So yeah,
he would be a really cool. And I know we technically had this character in The Incredible Hulk, but they completely ignore that movie anyway. And
yeah,
it wasn't the actual character, but he would be a cool Doc Samson.
Oh sure.
It was just kind of, he had the name. I don't know if he was supposed to eventually become Doc Samson or what, but they had that.
Telling Henry Cavill as Namor. Don't do that, because I hate Namor.
Well, he could turn you around on Namor.
I guess you could turn me around on him, but you know what? I guess there's a part of me that. Okay, so I don't like Namor, but maybe you should do Namor now because we don't have anything like a traditional Aquaman. And so
that would be weird if he was the traditional Aquaman.
But Namor. Just by virtue of doing Namor straight off the page, he would seem more like Aquaman than Aquaman. And Namor's not even that much like Aquaman.
That's true. He should play the robot from Fantastic Four. Hermes, what's his name?
That's hilarious. He would just be a voiceover.
Yeah, he's got a nice British voice. He can do it.
That's all I'd be.
I mean, he played Sherlock Holmes. Why not?
There's an episode of Superhero Squad where the episode opens with that robot just humming the theme song of the show that you just heard. It's great.
That's awesome. He's just humming the Avengers.
Dan says he could play Cyclops. I wasn't even thinking about X-Men. That's not a bad pick.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's good. I wish I'd thought of that. That's my answer, I guess.
Beast, actually. I would like him as Beast.
Yeah, that's not bad either.
Just ugly him up a little bit. Beast him up.
I got ugly him up. Hi, Dan.
Just make him hunch over a little bit. He would be a good, like, actual Beast, like, hunched over, not like, just I have five finger
says
toes.
Everybody hates Namor, Cap. Yeah, well, I know I wasn't, like, stirring up any pots with that. I got a real hot take on Namor. He sucks.
Yeah, why do we never bring up him when people ask our least favorite character?
That came up finally last week where somebody, when I listed my 10 characters that I don't like, somebody responded with, I don't like Namor, and I was like, you know what, you're right. I also don't like Namor. But I'm with you. And he's been okay in certain things, but I think he's more interesting when he's kind of a villain or kind of, like crossing sides. I like the way he's used in...
oh, that's a good one.
In the Fantastic Four run in the late 2000s, where he's after Sue. That stuff's pretty good.
Blue Dragon 5 says Cavill is Wonder Man.
Yeah, that's good too. Okay, so there's some stuff. Absolutely.
Some cool
there's some stuff.
Let me go back. And feel free to ask some questions, guys, because we got a little bit of a lull here, so feel free to
if we don't see any more super chats here in about 5 or 10 minutes, we'll answer just a couple more pre-written, and then we'll go ahead and call it a night. But if you guys want to keep the show going, feel free to throw some more questions at us, and we'll keep talking. Go ahead.
Yeah. John Kelling says, The Wizard! Yes, that's all I have to say.
Big wheel!
Cap, if you could swap a character
Cavill could be the helicopter pilot for Thanos' Thanoscopter.
Exactly. That's what we all want.
That's what we want.
Blue Dragon 5, a lot of swapping tonight. If you could swap a character from Marvel or DC film with a different version of themselves, a la WandaVision, who would you swap?
Oh, that's a cool question. Yeah, I like that a lot. That might be comment of the stream. That's a good question.
Maybe so. I'll highlight it just in case.
Yeah, thanks, man. No, that's
tentative comment of the stream.
That was pretty good. Tentative. Wow. Because what they did just blew my mind. It's hard to think of other, like, really, really good ones. Because there's not, I don't know.
I know some people would like Wesley Snipes to come back.
Oh,
There's a
sure,
fan
but
there's a
I
fan
thought
base
that
for that.
I thought the question was talking about like characters that were already there. We already had two different versions. Do you mean just like,
Yeah, I
if we
think
had
he
a
is.
later property, like?
I think he does mean that, like a movie that you like, but you would want to. I think we should put Halle Berry into Dark Knight Rises.
I was gonna say all I can think of are joke answers.
It's a great joke question.
Like,
It's a good set.
what if Tom Hardy Bane was switched with the Batman and Robin Bane, and he just goes around going bomb, but like it kind of works because he's got a bomb.
Yeah. He's like, I got a bomb under the stadium.
Or Two Face from Dark Knight is like Tommy Lee Jones.
Suddenly doing Jim Carrey stuff right after he gets out of the hospital.
Be amazing.
Oh man. Yeah, I can't think of a good answer. But
Uh,
there's good answers. I mean, like people probably want real Superman. They could swap
See,
out
I almost
Superman.
said that, but then but that wouldn't change the script. So what I would want to see happen is he shows up and he just walks off the frame, like
He's just disgusted with the Justice League.
Diana gets off the plane. And Christopher Reeve, like in BVS, she's remember when she leaves that plane, when she's about to go to Gotham, and then Christopher Reeve shows up and walks up to her in the parking lot, and he just goes, "You should get back on the plane. It's still the safest way to travel."
This is a good one from Jedi Knight. I would swap Flash Thompson with the Mark Webb version. That's great. He's much better, but
Yeah,
he would be a senior. It's like he got held back 4 times, and he's just in the freshman class with the kids. This
and it would be
really
a
old
completely
Flash
different
Thompson.
character. Like that guy's
Yeah, because he wouldn't be at that school
wouldn't be at
for
that
smart
school.
kids.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Somebody said Ben
but
Affleck instead of Christian Bale. I don't agree with that. I like Affleck as the version that he played, but those are two very different Batmans.
HB
Um,
Haga says
you know what?
swapping.
Actually, I have an answer to this.
Oh, cool.
I would keep Val Kilmer. That's the answer, right? I wouldn't have George Clooney. I would keep Val
Oh
Kilmer.
yeah, yeah. I don't know if that would help that movie because it
It
sounds like
wouldn't, but then I wouldn't have to deal with George Clooney in that. It would like the script would still be what it is, and he would still have to ham it up more than he did forever. But at least it would be Batman played by a guy who likes Batman. That'd be good.
oh, Mr. Roboto says CW Flash. Yeah, a lot of people wanted that Flash in that movie. Cool question. Thanks,
Oh,
man.
yeah, that's fair. Actually, that's a great answer. Yeah, I don't care for their Flash either.
But yeah, I only see a couple more. Let me see. We're putting some in now. We talked about no more last
What else
week.
should we talk about, folks?
If you could travel back, wow. Well, this show, so I might as well bring it up. Jedi Knight. If you could travel back to January 2020, Days of Future Past style, what would you do?
Oh, wow, interesting. I guess I
Oh,
don't know. I mean, I guess you just warn everybody, right? Like,
yeah, just tell yourself to go get a bunch of toilet paper.
well, I feel
And
like you'd have. I mean, unless you had a whole, because I overthink these things. Unless you're worried about time paradoxes or whatever, like all things being equal, you're just like I gotta save the future. If the whole point is to go back and make a better future, I guess you kind of would have a responsibility to let everyone know that there was a virus about to come. I don't know. I guess I don't know what else you do. As I've said before, for me personally, it has not been awful, and we were kind of set up for it. So there's not a lot I would do personally, like selfishly, differently than I did as far as that whole thing goes.
yeah, I don't know what we could do. Matthew Bass, $5 super chat. What are some of your favorite space opera TV shows other than Star Trek?
Yeah.
So,
So I think the best space opera TV show of all time is Babylon 5. But I mean, I guess besides Star Trek collectively, but I think it is a better show than DS9. I think it technically probably is the best thing that ever happened. I like Battlestar Galactica. Okay, it's not my favorite thing. I like what little of Farscape I saw, but I never watched a lot of that show. Beyond that, I liked SG-1 and Stargate Atlantis fine. They're not straight up space opera, but they go to that place quite a bit. So there's a few.
Alex Barron said for the last question, tell yourself to invest in GameStop.
Yeah, I almost made that joke. Well, and then obviously there's the Orville as well, but that's basically more Star Trek.
Here we go. We got another super chat from T-Edge1. Robin Williams died. Who should he have played in the MCU?
Weird. I love these questions that just open with a statement that I can't possibly contradict. It's like that's true. That happened.
That's a fact.
I don't know, something impish, or just kind of over the top. I think Robin Williams could have been a good Malekith if we had done Malekith off the page.
Oh.
It would have been cool to see him play somebody really scary, but also over the top, like he plays. Yeah, that's my answer. He would have been great.
Cool. I'm immediately thinking of DC things for some reason, like Mad Hatter or those kind of characters. John Ty, would you rather look like Jar Jar Binks or talk like him? That might be comment on the stream. Sorry.
That's comment on the stream. Send it to me. We'll put that in there. That's great.
I didn't read it first, so I was like, would you rather look like Jar Jar Binks? And I was like, what could the other part of this be? And then I just said, or talk like him. Caught me off guard.
Yeah, that is a catch-22. That is a real sadistic choice. I think both of those things make your life very, very difficult.
And they would both suffer the little children.
If I just sounded like Jar Jar Binks, I could still do my job, and I just wouldn't go on camera. You just hear my voice all the time. If I looked like Jar Jar Binks, but if also I had my voice, but I looked like Jar Jar Binks, then I would freak out everybody around me all the time, and I probably wouldn't be married or anything. So I just don't think, hate to be superficial about it, probably would have been harder to find a wife if I looked like Jar Jar Binks. So I don't know that I would have wanted that.
But imagine how long your reviews would be now with all those extra syllables you have to say.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing, too, is I can do an almost perfect Jar Jar Binks impression, so I don't need my voice to sound like I could make it sound like that if I wanted to.
What a ridiculous question.
What a ridiculous skill. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Sure. I'm going to go back. What is your dream villain team-up you've never seen before from Blue Dragon 5?
Oh, wow. It just seems like everybody gets together at some point, right? Yeah, that's not a thing I've given a ton of thought to. I mean, I've suggested a lot in the past that it would be interesting to pair up Clock King with anybody who could time travel.
Oh yeah, that'd be interesting.
But yeah, it's hard not to just go to Intercompany. Just like taking DC and Marvel stuff and mixing it. I mentioned Malekith earlier. Like a Joker Malekith thing would be interesting, or even a Joker and Loki thing.
Yeah,
I guess that's a notion.
Sorry, we just got one more super chat.
Oh, I've got one. We've been comparing these characters a lot lately. Again, also Intercompany. Magneto and Ra's al Ghul would be a fascinating team up.
Jedi Knight says Darth Vader and Davy Jones. Blue Dragon 5 says Ra's al Ghul and Poison Ivy. We talked about that.
We did
a couple shows ago. Yeah,
just last show or the show before. Yeah, Luthor and Fisk. Sure. Yeah, and there are places where they look like each other. There's a Lex Luthor graphic novel where, I swear to God, it's just Kingpin on the cover. I've never seen a Lex that looked that heavyset. I was like, that's not Lex, that's Kingpin.
Yeah, they do. Other than the weight, they do kind of look alike, obviously. I don't want to lump all bald people together. Sorry, no offense to any bald people. But they also wear, white, and they also wear suits and stuff. A super chat from 5590 ERS just came in. $2.99. Favorite Wolverine comics?
I like a lot of stuff I'm going to mention is staples that everybody's heard of course. I'm going to sound like newbie Batman readers talking about Batman comics, but I discovered Origin when I was a kid, and liked it a lot. It doesn't hold up the best, but it's still a book I like quite a bit. But I don't know, you don't get much better than Weapon X. Windsor Smith is a genius. I love that book. So that is probably my answer. Obvious, yes, it is that good.
Cinematographic pre-written Cap.
Yeah.
Drink of choice on a Sovereign class starship. Romulan ale, or Aldebaran whiskey. Also, what does Darkseid need with a Thanos copter?
What does Darkseid need with a Thanos copter? I would say absolutely nothing. But I also don't think Thanos uses a Thanos copter. That's why the Thanos copter is hilarious. But as far as that first thing, what was that again? Can you read that?
Drink of choice.
Aldebaran whiskey and well, I mean, these are fictional drinks, so I don't know what they taste like. Just based on like the way they affect people, I think it would be about on par. Like Aldebaran whiskey seems to get you drunk pretty quick, just like Romulan ale does. I think it's hilarious that so Romulan ale is blue, right? And then Aldebaran whiskey is supposed to be green, but when we see it in TOS, and Scotty's like, "It's green," you look at it, and it's not. I don't remember what color it is. It's not green. It doesn't look remotely like green. It's not even a color correction thing. It's just they gave him a different prop and they kept the line. It's very funny. But yeah, I don't know.
We need a special edition. Release the green cut.
Aldebaran whiskey was never made illegal, so I wouldn't have to worry about getting in trouble. And it comes in a really cool, like, curved, like, beaker thing. So I think that's a bottle. So I think I'd go with that just because it looks more exotic.
Yeah. We got a pre-written from Connor Nielsen a while ago. He says, which is better, King Kong 1933 or Godzilla 1954?
Believe it or not, I've actually never, and I know you have, I've never seen all of King Kong all the way through. So I have to say Godzilla by default because I've seen that movie several times. But
yeah, I recently watched Godzilla, and I loved it, but I think I would put King Kong over it. But who knows? Maybe I need, if I see Godzilla again. But yeah, I love the original King Kong. It's really cool, and it's a good movie too. It's not just like super influential, special effects wise. But yeah, I think that is all I have. Okay. Blue Dragon 5 wants to know if you see the Spider-Man No Way More title as confirmation of a multiverse, which we kind of talked about last week.
No Way Home. Yeah, we talked about that.
If so, do you think this movie ends with Peter Parker and Miles Morales swapping universes?
No, I don't. I think if they, and I've heard that theory. I don't know why people are talking about that idea. I think it's a lot more likely that they would both be in their own universe over at Sony. I think that if that's what they're doing, it's to get Spider-Man back at Sony and out of the MCU, or it's just fun playing in the multiverse and then status quo goes back to more or less normal. I could see Miles being brought over. I don't know about you. I don't know that we should expect him in that movie.
I don't want to introduce him in another multiverse movie.
Yeah, I know. Me neither. I certainly don't want that. What you want and what they're likely to do are different things. Yeah. But just given that they're, with all the talk that they're probably bringing like all the other Spider-Mans in and stuff,
because that's the same problem we had with.
It seems like a bad idea.
Peter. We introduced Peter in a big crossover event, and then he went straight into space, and like we didn't get Peter before all that stuff. I don't want the same thing to happen with Miles.
Yeah, exactly.
I want Small Town Miles first, but yeah, there we go. We did it.
All right, cool. Well, guys, thanks a lot for watching. Hope you enjoyed the show tonight. This was an odd one because of some of the, kind of volatile stuff that Nash really had to come up with during the show. But I want to thank everybody in the comments for being civil about it. And thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you again Thursday night if you are so inclined to pop in and do another one with us. It's going to be another Ask Me Anything show. And then after that, we're going to have a Captain Logan After Dark. Dan Torrey is supposed to be there, so look forward to that. And then Friday is the premiere of the epic conclusion of the craziest, most outlandish thing I have ever done, the 1,001 page BVS Superhero Rewind, and then next week the Justice League review, which I've got to get rolling on here pretty soon. John Kelling, $5 super chat. Speaking of Godzilla and Kong, who do you guys personally want to win in the upcoming movie, Godzilla or Kong? Let them fight. Well, as I talked about the other day, I'm just not a big fan of who would win in a fight, so I don't care.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it looks like from that trailer that we watched that they're setting Kong up as the good guy in that movie. Because he's like protecting a little girl and stuff. So yeah, I don't want the little girl to die.
Like, if I have to be on a team, I guess Godzilla, just because I have more experience with that character, but I don't.
I think it's more likely that they won't have a winner. I think something will happen.
Those things never end in a clear, obvious way. Like, that it never happens, because then you piss off half the fan base. Like, that never happens. Yeah. I talked about that in the BVS review, where I'm like, yeah, the whole thing was, who would win in a fight between Batman and Superman? Guess what? The answer was always going to be no one. Of course, obviously. Even if it was good.
Wait, we got another rant in, guys.
Yeah. Okay, so now ending the show, it's time for thoughts. And tonight, I want to talk a little bit about the table game at casinos, roulette, which is a game that I think I love, but never really get to play because, you know, casinos are expensive. And when you go play table games, you got to bring, you know, quite a bit of money with you, and you don't get to play for any amount of time. So, like, I'm not straight up anti-gambling. I don't want to spend a ton of money on it. If I gambled regularly, if money was no object, I would go play roulette. I think it's a really fun table game. And when I was growing up, I played it on like video games all the time. And if I went to a casino, I wouldn't want to play slot machines because I just think that's boring. My dad and my stepmom were obsessed with slots when I was growing up. I don't know why. That is so boring. You just sit there and push a button, or you pull down a thing and yay, I won $5 after I just spent $20, and then you keep going and you hope that you hit a jackpot somewhere. That does not appeal to me. I don't understand that, and I think it's especially weird in the age of cell phones. Like, I really don't understand that now. But it's but I don't know. I just like the atmosphere of roulette, and I've always wanted to get better at learning like all the statistics and the numbers and stuff. But I'm not a numbers guy. I'm not good at that, and I've just never had a good enough reason to learn because I'm not made of money. So I don't know. I guess I just brought that up to say, I wonder if some of you guys have things like this where ostensibly you're a fan of it, but you haven't had an opportunity to like really get into it the way you'd like to. That's my thought for this evening.
Interesting. I've never been in a casino.
Have you not? No,
we went when we were in New Orleans a few months ago. We went up to one, but we didn't end up going in. But yeah, I don't know. I've never. I guess if your parents don't ever go to casinos, you don't really grow up in casinos unless you just.
It's a fun atmosphere. Like, I'll take you sometime if you want to go. It's a fun thing to do. I kind of grew up in casinos.
Adult arcade.
When I was a kid. Well, and that's the thing, is in the 90s, they were fun places for kids too, believe it or not, because they had a lot of them had really great arcades. Because you need something for the kids to do. And now, we just kind of assume that people don't have families, I guess. We've axed all of those. Hurts my feelings, man, because they had the coolest arcades in Tunica, Mississippi in the mid-90s. And I went back there a few years ago. It's all gone. None of that stuff is still there. It's some of the same casinos and buildings that I used to go to are there. All that stuff was gutted. It sucks. It hurts my feelings. Obviously, that's what I was there for, because it's not like as a kid you could even go on the floor.
Yeah. People bringing up pinball.
Oh, yeah. I love pinball.
Chat. Yeah.
Are they bringing that up as a thing that they want to be a fan of, but they've never had the opportunity to play a lot?
I don't know. He says buying a pinball machine is an unreachable goal at the moment. So I guess I don't know. It could go either way.
Sounds like that's what he's talking about. Yeah, that's a thing he's a fan of, but he'd get more into it if money was no object. Yeah, that's a great example. Absolutely. My wife and I have talked about buying a pinball machine for a long time, and at some point we will finally do that. But yeah, you got to save up, or you got to make payments. It's a small car. Getting a good pinball machine
like a jet ski.
Is anywhere between $3,000 and $4,000. You're right. It's closer to like a high-end motorcycle or a jet ski or something. Yeah.
Jeez. Connor says he likes playing blackjack. Played around when I was driving through Vegas in Nevada.
Oh, cool. That's awesome, man. Did you win? I like blackjack okay, but it's not my favorite thing. I don't know why I brought this up at the end as the thought. It's too long for a thought. Thoughts are hard, because rants you go on for a while, but thoughts.
That's true. Well, we'll bring this up. This will carry over to an After Dark someday. If
Oh,
people
I'm
people
sure.
seem very interested in
Well,
it.
and that's the thing is it's cool that people latch onto that. I have some paraphernalia of roulette because I keep buying stuff because I like roulette, but like I have a roulette table and I've never played with it. I just have it because it's cool. I have a roulette wheel right here on my desk. I found this at. Oop, is it not working? This is this weird like local thing that came from an old building in like the '60s. It was this is from the Eisenhower home. Yeah, I have a roulette wheel from the Eisenhower home. Anyway, I was just sitting on my desk.
That would be a really cool location to shoot an After Dark from. Like if I ever did come there, we went to a casino, we like shot an After Dark there.
Oh, I thought you meant the Eisenhower Museum.
Yeah, let's shoot it from No,
Dan says the Connecticut ones still have arcades. Oh, that's good. It's great. Dan and I went to an arcade while we were there that's supposedly the biggest in the country, and we didn't believe them. Like, we had fun. We found some good machines, but there were things we expected to be there that weren't. We were just like, I don't know about this. I don't know if we agree with you. Hayden Spring, Cap, do you listen to Michael Rosenbaum's podcast? I have, not on the regular. I've listened to just the episode that he did with Stephen Amell, is the only one I've heard. So, he did one with Marsters a couple months ago that I keep meaning to go listen to. So thanks for reminding me, but no, I haven't done that regularly. Anyway, we should get going. Thanks again for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you again on Thursday. I'm Captain Logan. This was DJ Martinez.